Where could I go if I were such a man that I wanted to watch a man beat up on a woman? Why, the Olympics, of course. And Ireland's standing up, and an Irish fighter says, I'm not going to fight men. I'm not going to fight men. That's not going to happen. So there's lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, we have to start with the Status of Women Committee. This is happening currently. This is happening currently in our government. And like over the summer, these things are being brought in, and like I believe this is real time. I don't think this is left over from some other time. This made news. This just happened. Okay. So Michelle Fournier, she's an MP for the Conservatives. She is for Peterborough Kawarthas. She says victims were silenced today in the Status of Women. The witnesses walked out in protest. Instead of listening to testimony, the Liberals and the NDP coalition put forward a bizarre motion to silence them. So here is the beginning. Well, here is the part. This woman, hold on. This woman was talking, and this is the longer clip. So she's talking for 3 or 4 minutes, and she's talking about she gets a motion of relevance, and she's talking about abortion, she's talking about all sorts of other things, and somebody says relevance, and then the witnesses are upset because instead of talking about the status of women and the violence against women and blah 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 blah, the Liberal NDP are talking about ideological things and not allowing the witnesses to speak about what they want to speak about, as far as I understand it. And then the witnesses walk out in protest. So here's the point of order, and the witnesses being upset about the point of order. Here we go.
Point of order. We have a point of order on the table.
And women need to be.
We have a point of order.
Relevance to the motion.
Relevance to the motion. Absolutely, it is relevant to the motion. It is about a constant attack on women.
All of my years in advocating for women. We are leaving. We will not ever have...
Madam Chair, or sorry, your mic is not on, and no one. And at this point, we don't have space to acknowledge in this space right now.
I want to acknowledge the witnesses, Madam Speaker, because I'm the one.
The witnesses are no longer in the room.
Okay.
Can I adjourn the meeting? Leah, you still have the. Leah?
This is about collegiality.
Right back into it. So the chair asks, should I adjourn the meeting? Like, should I adjourn the meeting? So this woman's yelling and upset. This woman's part of the witness. I don't know if I think this woman is an ideological plant talking about abortion and trying to take the meeting off of track, right? So what the Liberals and the NDP will do is come in and they'll start talking, and it's kind of like, what's the word? It's like a filibustering. Filibustering was the word I was looking for. And in a filibuster, so the government will talk and 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 take up all the time. And so nobody else has time to talk about it. And so that's kind of exactly what happened here. That's why I think that she's not one of the people being silenced. The people being silenced. Sorry, I'm not meaning to start it up. The people being silenced are the women, this person here, and the witnesses in the room. The person on the screen here, I think, and I could be getting this wrong, but I believe this is the makeup of everything going on. The person here is, the person on the screen is a Liberal or NDP somebody, ne'er-do-well. She might even be an MP, who knows. But her job is to derail the conversation and talk about abortion or talk about how trans rights are women's rights or whatever it is, whatever perversion of women's rights is the thing du jour, right? And this person can see through that. Oh, you can't see her. The person behind me, this person can see through that, right? And she says, like, we're not doing this. This is ridiculous. And she leaves in tears because what she wanted to address, what the meeting was supposed to be about, didn't get addressed in favor of somebody's ideologically driven private agenda, right? And that's not okay. And so the witnesses leave in tears. Andy Lee says the bizarre moment that Liberal Anita Vanderbilt hijacks a committee studying violence against women to preach abortion rights. One witness who walked out had a case of attempted murder against her ex, ultimately dropped by the court after it was rescheduled twice. So shameful. And this is 3.5 minutes as well. So fundamentally, these people are being ignored. These people are being run roughshod over in order to prioritize an ideology that is ultimately false. And the Liberal NDP coalition couldn't possibly care less. In fact, they think the women are alt-right plants from Diagolon. Parliamentary press reporters are taking note. Elisa Passafume says 2 witnesses stormed out of the status of women committee meeting today after Liberals tried to steer the planned discussion away from violence against women towards abortion, right? So more to come, she says. Here's Senator Housakis, and he says, another example from Justin Trudeau's government of just how much they care about women. What a disgraceful display. Miss Alexander and all victims deserve so much better. Witnesses storm out as House committee meeting descends into chaos. And yeah, I mean, yes, people were not very happy about it. National Post is reporting a bit of an update. I was repulsed. Abuse survivor demands Liberal MP apologize after testimony hijacked in chaotic House committee. MPs said they were disgusted by the behavior that drove 2 advocates for stopping violence against women to leave the parliamentary committee visibly shaken. And so this is just the National Post giving their rundown of the same event. So pretty wild stuff. And it didn't used to be like this in Canada. Honestly, we used to have sensible conversations in our House of Commons. Michelle Freire, who was the MP in the House at the time, says it was triggering. She said in an interview, I demand a public apology, adding that she believes Vanderbilt utilized her trauma for the MP's own political gain and hijacked survivors' testimony. I was repulsed. Yeah. Yep. And that's just one aspect of the government today, right? Like, I'm repulsed daily, though. So Rick, and he's another MP, he says, breaking. Must watch sellout Singh and lazy Bloc MPs cover up for Trudeau again. They delayed an investigation into corruption and waste at Trudeau's slush fund until the fall, after the ethics commissioner's guilty ruling on Tuesday on Trudeau's chair. The NDP and Bloc are heading back to the pool. So interesting stuff. Well, here we'll play this because these guys are explaining what happened. Here we go.
We're here in the House of Commons in a committee room where we just held an emergency meeting of the Industry Committee to get to the bottom of the Liberal Green Slush Fund, to deal with the Ethics Commissioner's shocking report last week that the chair of the fund broke the law twice, broke the ethics laws twice. And what happened, Larry, when we proposed this motion to the Liberals and NDP?
In typical fashion, they don't want to get to the truth. Sellout Singh and his representative and the lazy Bloc chose to adjourn until Parliament resumes on September the 16th, almost a month and a half away. We're here to work. They're there to delay.
Michael.
Well, once again, the NDP demonstrated who their boss is. It's Justin Trudeau. They came here and did the bidding of the Liberals to cover up and delay this committee getting to work so that taxpayers can get their money back. $400 million that improperly went out the door by a bunch of Liberal cronies, and there was the NDP working hand in glove with Justin Trudeau. The NDP is complicit in Liberal corruption.
Well, the lazy Bloc and sellout Singh refused to work and do their work in the summer to get to the bottom of the biggest corruption scandal of the Trudeau government. Conservatives will continue to fight for you to get to the bottom of this, to get the truth, and to get your money back.
So there you go. Interesting. And there's a pattern, right? Like the people who are in charge, the Liberals, the NDP, the Bloc helps when optics matter, are shutting things down. They don't want to investigate corruption. They don't want to investigate violence against women. They're not even really sure what a woman is, other than anybody who self-identifies as a woman, sir. Whatever. Right? And the whole thing is just crazy, right? And they're not interested in listening to real victims who have had threats of murder, and people who made those threats get away with it scot-free because of lax judicial anything, accountability, anything, right? There's long delays for cases coming up before the courts, but they prioritize bullshit political grandstanding in the courts instead of getting these people who are causing harm and threatening damage, threatening violence off the streets and into some kind of, I mean, it's so weak anyway. Even if the justice did work, I wouldn't be convinced that the dangerous men would actually be kept away from the women they wanted to harm. So, I mean, that's the other side of this coin, right? It's ridiculous how terrible Canada has become on a whole bunch of different fronts. Really, honestly, it's wild. Canada Proud, talking about a different front, right? How's that Canadian military? Yikes. Canada Proud says Trudeau Liberal Emergency Preparedness Minister Harjit Sajjan tried to send 100 soldiers to serve as backdrops in a concert by the Punjab pop star Dijat Donja something or other in Vancouver before the plan was rejected by the Canadian Armed Forces commanders. I'm shocked that the Canadian Armed Forces commanders said no. I'm shocked. Like, I thought that they purged anybody who would say no, and they've put people in place who would say, yes, that sounds like a great idea. We love Punjab pop stars in the Canadian military, because the reason I say that is because it's happened before. These guys took their weapons, walked off base in uniform, and joined a parade. Pretty crazy. Tariq Fatah, going back to 2019, because that's when this happened, says, Canadian Sikh soldiers march in Toronto's Khalsa Day parade. What next? Jewish soldiers to mark Yom Kippur, or Hindu soldiers marching for Diwali? Stop it, please. Trudeau is turning our Canadian armed forces into an ethnic vote-getting spectacle. Stop ghettoizing our military, right? And so Brittany is highlighting this, and she says, using the military has been an ongoing issue, just like this. This is so inappropriate. Sajan's response in the comments. And so how many more scandals? Shake my head. Defense Minister Sajan said in a statement that while the intentions to participate in the event were good, the choices that were made were inappropriate. I know the commander of the 4th Division and other commanders will take appropriate action to ensure that something like this never happens again. So it's embarrassing. And Jennifer highlights the embarrassing part. She says, how were they allowed to just walk off base with those weapons to join a parade in their off time? This is insane, right? It's insane. It's crazy. But I mean, hey, some Canadian military get to see a free Punjab pop star concert? Aw, the brass said no, shucks darn, right? Like, are you kidding? Are you kidding? I don't get it. Andrew Lawton is joining the Conservative team, so he's taking a hiatus from True North. Is this partisanship? Now, like, I ran for the PPC. I think I'm pretty open about my political leanings. I don't support the Conservative Party of Canada. I don't support the Liberals or anybody else in the Uniparty. I think probably PPC is the best vehicle federally to kind of put your votes and whatever. But is it perfect? Absolutely not, right? I ran for them, and like in 2019, and I wish Bernier the best, and I hope they're able to get seats, because I think they're honestly, genuinely trying to make the country better. But like, you should come up to your own conclusions and not listen to me. You should maybe listen to me to find sources, to do your own research and all the rest of it. But like, to me, the partisanship displayed by people who support the Conservative Party or the Liberal Party has them faking reality. Like, they just can't see that man in a dress is a man in a dress and not a woman, like the Liberals, right? And the Conservatives can't see that Bill C6 is a damaging, I think it's C6, the conversion therapy bill is damaging and underpinning gender ideology, right? They can't see that immigration is really the problem and building the houses won't fix it. They can't see that. And that's a problem for me. I have a problem with that, right? Bernier articulates solutions that I think will work. And I think that I'm pretty clear that I think that that's the right play. But I don't think that comes into my coverage. Whereas I can't say that about True North, like the whole organization, all of them. And I can't say that about, even to a degree, the Western Standard and some others as well. Like, I try and be as I try and be as close to the truth as possible. And if that burns the Liberals, so be it. And if that burns the Conservatives, so be it. And if that burns the PPC, so be it. Because, like, not that I don't have an allegiance. I have an allegiance to the truth. I want to know what the truth is. I don't care about your spin on the truth. I want to know why you think that man can be a woman. And like, when you don't have an answer other than calling me names, you've lost. Like, you haven't convinced me. You've just called me names. So the whole thing is ideologically poisoned. The whole thing. Our entire political conversation is ideologically poisoned to the degree where when I hear Andrew Lawton's joining the CPC, I kind of shrug and say, yeah, I guess. Like, that makes perfect sense. But then, like, I joined the PPC, and I don't see that as negative. Maybe I understand my intentions more, and when I look at Andrew Lawton, I don't understand his intentions, because on one side of things, he says he's trying to get to the truth, but on the other side of things, he'll attack PPC because it's beneficial for the CPC, which he supports. See what I'm saying? So, I don't know. Maybe I'm just blind to my own biases, and if I am, apologies, right? I'm not trying to take down Andrew Lawton. Good for him. It's hard to run for politics, right? I'm just saying it seems there's something weird about it. But I did it too. So is it weird for me to do it too? Am I blind to my own partisanship? Is that it? Maybe. Certainly maybe, right? Which is why I tell you, go do your own research. This is what I think. This is why I think it. But check it out for yourself. Maybe I missed something. Certainly true. Could have. Anyway, Andrew Lawton says, I've been fighting for freedom and conservative values my whole career. Now I want to take that fight to Ottawa. Today I'm launching my campaign to become the Conservative Member of Parliament for Elgin St. Thomas, London South. My priorities: put community first, stand up for your freedom and fight censorship, stop assisting suicide for people with mental illness, axe the tax and get government spending under control, defund CBC and stand up to the elites. To do this, I need your help. If you live in Elgin St. Thomas, London South, you can take out a membership in the Conservative Party of Canada to vote for me in the nomination. If you live elsewhere in Canada, you can support my campaign by donating. Every dollar counts. If this sounds good to you, let's make it happen. So there you go, on his website's there. So again, there are a mixed bag. Some people are saying you're a partisan hack. Some people are saying, good luck, I trust you because of all the coverage you've done, blah, 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 blah. There's lots and lots of responses. There's people who like it, 4.5 thousand likes on 376,000 views, which, okay, right? What is that, 1%? Average, right? Like just over 1%, 1.3 or something, 1.7 maybe. But yeah, right, maybe. If there were NDP people who won in, what was it, 2011, when the Conservatives, the Liberals, was it 2011? When the Liberals went down to third party status before Justin Trudeau came and rejuvenated the party or whatever it was, where Mouclair was the opposition, and there were NDP people who didn't campaign and got elected because the Quebec wave was so strong. So it is quite plausible that Andrew Lawton, if he wins the nomination, could be an MP. So there you go. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Mercedes Stevenson is highlighting these issues in Canada, and we're going to get to the invasion ongoing soon. And Mercedes says, a Twitter thread on the father and son terrorist arrest in Toronto. The duo was arrested at a Richmond Hill hotel. Multiple sources tell Global News that they had just recorded a video with the ISIS flag on and an axe and a machete in the room, and had an axe and machete in the room. Videos are commonly recorded right before an attack. The men were found in room 303 at the Richmond Hill Hotel. RCMP ERT officers forced the door. The men are alleged to have had an axe and a machete in the room. Court documents say the men planned to use an axe and machete to carry out an ISIS terror attack. Sources describe the planned attack as a mass casualty event involving stabbing, hacking, and slashing, low tech and hard to predict or prevent an increasing ISIS trend. And if you thought ISIS was dead, they're not. Experts we spoke to say there's a resurgence in ISIS-inspired attacks. Sources tell Global News that the father appeared in a 2015 ISIS propaganda video in which he was allegedly shown dismembering a prisoner, with a sword. A video obtained by Global News that appears to match the one that resulted in the aggravated assault charge shows a prisoner wearing an orange jumpsuit suspended from a pole in a desert. A man wearing a black robe, whose face is visible in the video, then hacks at the prisoner's limbs with a sword. It's unclear whether the victim was already dead when he was dismembered. The video was published in 2015 by the pro-ISIS outfit Al Rand Media. You can read more about the video made by the father and son here. Toronto terror suspect recorded video with weapons, ISIL flag, and she's got links and stuff. So why are we in a situation where our government is saying it's important to import the third world people who seem to hate us and want to hack us up with swords? Why is that? Why are we doing that? Because that seems like treason. That seems not even irresponsible. It seems way more than irresponsible. And the invasion that we are suffering and the related housing, affordability, everything crisis that is going along with it, violence, crime, all the rest of it, is all traced back to bad liberal policies of the last decade, since 2015. Okay, because we're 2024. It's been 9 years and we're barreling into August. It's been a long time of bad governance. And these people are evil, is probably overstating it, but they're bad guys. They're not good. Evil might be understating it, actually. Let's talk about one of the things that was previously not able to be spoken about in Canada, and then it hit the mainstream and everybody's talking about it suddenly. What is this? The Simcoe.com Rogers-owned local newspaper says gravely harmed Wasaga Beach calls on province to improve enforcement maintenance of park following TikTok videos. And the TikTok videos are highlighting people pooping on the beach and burying it in the sand. It says Wasaga Beach's mayor is calling on Ontario's government to own up to its responsibilities and return the provincial park to its former glory. Councillors approved a detailed motion put forward by Brian Smith during a meeting on July 29th asking for an urgent meeting with Premier Ford, Minister of Environment, Conservation and Parks, Andrea Congen, and Minister, I recognize that name. Why do I recognize that name? And Minister of Tourism, Culture and Gaming, Stan Cho, to talk about the condition of Wasaga Beach Provincial Park. Wasn't there some kind of controversy between Ford and this woman? No? There was a controversy between Ford and a woman. I can't remember what that controversy was. Anyway, Kinga? Maybe I'm just thinking that's a different name. Anyway, not to get derailed, let's get back to this. The call for action from the province has been in part sparked by a viral social media post that alleged visitors to the beach have been pooping in the sand, defecating in the sand, using tents as impromptu porta potties. That's not so good. Smith noted the fur has meant the municipality has been facing some very trying times over the last week. Yeah. And what happened to the woman who posted the TikToks that shared this factual thing about people pooping on the beach while she got visited by the OPP? Canada Cop Watch shares Ontario Provincial Police go to lady's house over social media post regarding people pooping on Wasaga Beach. Or pooping in the Wasaga Beach sand. Her TikTok was also removed because she was unhappy her children could not dig in the sand without finding poop. This country has gone downhill with no brakes. Yeah, that's the truth. Here's the 36 seconds. Here we go.
Shock to me to open my door to see the officer asking me to come out and then stepping in and having a whole conversation about what I'm posting on social media, which is harming nobody. I want people to know because it is a biohazard. It's the safety and well-being of the kids and the visitors that want to go use the beach.
I've had to yell at people for on the borderline property line of my backyard. They're digging holes and they're pooping and putting tents up because they don't want to go to the washroom.
Somebody called in about somebody posting things on TikTok about defecating on
yes, and get out of my house. You're violating all sorts of charter rights. Get out of my house. I have nothing to say to you and I'm not interested. Put it in a brief and send it to my lawyer. Bye. Blacklock's reporter is reporting Mark Miller, who's the immigration minister, department loses track of 500,000 foreigners, including illegal immigrants, and they're now exploring options to regularize their status. We made a conscious decision to be an open country. So they're going to regularize the status, meaning they're not going to be illegal immigrants anymore. There'll be 500,000 citizens. There you go. Sure, we don't know where they are, but we don't know where you are either, right? Why is that a problem? Racist, right? They're probably pooping on the beach in Wasaga Beach, right? Unbelievable. Holly Doan says majority enter Canada lawfully, but overstay and become undocumented when they cannot meet eligibility criteria for existing immigration programs. Canada border numbers show half of those ordered out of Canada remain here. So they're just going to change them from illegally in the country to citizens. There you go. And you can vote Liberal. And they will. Melissa says, how do you lose track of 500,000 people? You lose track of them through willful ignorance, willful blindness. And also, they have incentive programs. I think people in Ontario would vote for a political party that promised to end these incentives. Honestly, I think they would. I think that would be end incentives, end the carbon tax, end the taxes on energy, and tell the government to tell us who the Chinese traders are, or we're going to completely cut out the federal government from Ontario. We'll set up our own tax system. We will remove everything federal and tell them where to go and starve them of money. No, we're not giving any money to Chinese traders. Sorry, guys, hold an election. You don't have the confidence of Ontario. Bye. Where are the politicians to talk about this? Do I have to do it? Is that partisan? Here's a guy from Nova Scotia. He says it's disgusting what they're doing to Canada.
Well, I wonder what the unemployment level is going to look like there in the next year, because there's 3 provinces in Canada right now that are going to be paying 70% of new hired immigrants' wages. Yeah, I wonder how many companies are going to start restructuring with just hiring immigrants like crazy, because they only have to pay them 30% of the whatever they would pay anybody to do their jobs that they're going to be hired to replace. And all the people that are going to be out of work, what are they going to do? Canadians that were working or trying to work, and then people trying to find a job. But if you're not an immigrant, good luck, great, because you're going to have to be paid 100% of that pay, but the government will pay 70% of the guy beside you's pay who applies for the same job.
So why are we tolerating a government that discriminates monetarily against its citizens? Because that's exactly what they're doing, and they know it. I think Ontario would vote for a political party that said that they would end that practice and end all the rest of the nonsense, garbage racism that's been forced by these DEI policies as well. Liberal Party says Pierre Poilievre has no plan to solve the housing crisis, and that really sucks. And it's very interesting because these Liberals caused the housing crisis with their bad policies. So they've got this whole meme. it's weak. It's very, very weak considering the real problems that are afflicting Canada at this point in time. Toby says the Irish government have lost control of the narrative. In 2 years, the Irish people have gone from 0.5% of the population concerned with immigration to now one third of the population believes they're being replaced, and 72% want stricter immigration laws according to polls. This is me very quickly. Also, mass deportations are necessary. Mass deportations, ASAP. Holy cow. Back to this. All Roderick O'Gorman can do is claims that these are conspiracy theories. Statements like that just drive more people away from the government. Change is coming. Maybe. War is coming, probably, right? Change of policy like that. Well, when we get to the police state, that's the response. Okay? Maybe we should do the police state now. Maybe not. Yeah, sure, we'll do it right now. So yeah, the response when people push back is going to be you're being violent to the state. And so the state is going to shut you down. Don't believe me? It's already happening in England. This is the United Kingdom, and they just voted in a new government. And Lewis Blackpool is sharing this. Shocking footage shows Metropolitan Police walking up to a protester minding his own business and then violently punching him in the face and tackling him to the ground. They're trying to incite a violent response. That is the point. They want to say, look how violent these white people are, and then they want to crack down on it, right? You can't organize in the streets because you're violent. But really what's happening is the police are coming up and encouraging the violence, and they themselves are becoming violent.
Protests underway involving a right-wing group called Enough is Enough.
Aren't the police right-wing?
As you can see, scuffles have broken out with police after the protesters threw flares towards the gates of Downing Street.
Yeah, because, well, the police walked up to them and punched them in the face. Here's more footage of them just arresting people.
I've never seen anything like this.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I'm almost too frightened to move off the spot.
Do you know what I mean? At least I didn't have to fucking body stand.
Hold on a second. I'll find the actual part. You can see they're walking out with a guy here. And then another guy. So there's this whole trail of people being arrested. Here is Concerned Citizen says, police now simply arresting anyone they can in London. You've truly witnessed what two-tier policing looks like here in Britain. This is just the start. And Gavin says, the police have become the enemy of the people. The state has turned against its own people. Is there a word for this? I think it rhymes with mashist. Here we go. This is an elderly gentleman being arrested. I don't know why, but they're just arresting people. And I think he says, what have I done? He's a pensioner. You know, he's got a tucked-in shirt and a belt on. That's very white supremacy. They're just marching these people out, right? The old man's not enough. How about an old woman? How about that? She doesn't stop talking. The old man just stands there. She doesn't stop.
Run into me. You've just all. I've got a pacemaker. I've got a pacemaker. I've got a pacemaker. And they've just arrested me for walking up here.
No, to reach a section 35.
Oh, because you want to do them any tighter?
That's why I'm trying to lock them so they can stop getting tight.
Well, actually, you're really tightening them.
Well, I'm not.
You really are tightening them, and you're really making me. You what?
So can you relax?
You joking?
5 seconds.
Are you joking? I've never been arrested in my life.
Madam.
I have, don't you miss, don't you. I have never been arrested in my life. I'm 73 years old. And I have come here because of them babies who's died. And I'm being arrested. You just run it.
This is what they're going to do. They're going to say, look, you're aggressive. And you're like, no, I'm not. And then they say, you're under arrest. And you say, I've never been arrested in my life. And they say, ma'am, calm down. Right? This is insane. That's what they'll do because they can't, right? As soon as, well, I mean, look at the Labour government that's just got in. They're allowing this. That's why, right? Toronto Sun, let's talk about the Jasper fire. Facts don't back up Gelbo's denial of Parks Canada fire prevention mismanagement at Jasper. And They say, the empire is beginning to strike back against the narrative that Parks Canada's woke environmentalists magnified the wildfire that devastated a third of Jasper town site in Alberta last week. I still can't believe that. I think there was no newspapers with a headline that talked about 30% of Jasper being destroyed by a wildfire due to Parks Canada inaction. Mine was the only one. A number of for starters, Alberta government officials, academics, and even former Parks Canada employees have been writing that the federal agency in charge of the Rocky Mountain National Parks refused for decades to allow mechanical thinning, i.e. logging of thousands of hectares of diseased trees, thereby ensuring hundreds of thousands of dry, beetle-killed pines were left standing in the park, ready to ignite during a fire and propel that fire to do far more damage. The same is happening in Newfoundland. I have pictures of it because I thought this has got to be important. I don't know where the pictures are at this point, probably somewhere in my server that I upload to. I'll see if I can find them, but not right now. I've got lots of other things to do this morning, and we've got enough of the show left that I can't be derailed like that. But these dead trees, go look around your forests. Do you have dead trees? Take pictures of them and then tag Parks Canada because they're doing this on purpose. This was not a mistake. And again, just like nobody's really going with the headline that's going to be popular, like 30% of the town was destroyed because of our government's inaction and they're responsible. Nobody's going to, they're not going to hold anybody accountable. They could have, and they could have started fixing this problem. Nobody's doing that. It's a cover-up. It's like when they tried to shoot Donald Trump, and then they couldn't shoot Donald Trump because the dude dodged a bullet, most of the bullet, except for his ear. And so now it's just a complete cover-up. They don't want to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk. Nobody wants to examine it. Nobody's going to get fired, right? Cheeto step down. Isn't that good enough, right? They don't want to talk about it because this is the plan. That's the point. You know the other thing? Fire and water, baby. The other part of this is wastewater management. Stormwater management has been mismanaged in Guelph for years. Years and years and years. In 2013, I wanted to run for municipal council. And I did run, and then I withdrew my name because I was a new father and blah, 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 blah. But fundamentally, the reason I wanted to run is because there were all sorts of articles talking about stormwater management being a big problem, stormwater management stacking up and flash flooding being a problem, so on and so on and so on. And they're going to say climate change is new rainstorms that lead to flash floods. But they've been mismanaging their responsibility at the municipal level to manage wastewater management. And they're going to use that because the United Nations has perverted and subverted the municipal section. So they're going to use the storms, and they concede rain to make it rain really hard. So they're going to use any kind of flood as a justification for more climate change initiatives. But they created it through years and years of neglect of systems that we know fix it, just like they did with the fire in Jasper. This is the plan. They're going to say, look, this is climate change. And low information voters are going to say, look, this is climate change. This never happened before. Never happened before because we used to manage it. We used to actually deal with it. We knew that it would cause problems. And so we spent money to mitigate those potential risks. We used to deal with it. And now we don't. And they're going to say climate change. And so more fool us if we fall for it, if we let them lie to us like this. Why are we letting them lie to us like this? About everything. Chinese traders, carbon taxes, everything they lie about. Electric vehicles, everything. They don't stop lying. Let's talk about Venezuela. So Venezuela, I think, is a coup. This guy thinks it's a coup too. It has all the markers of a color revolution. It really does. They don't like Maduro. Venezuela is rich in oil. The United States wants to use that oil. The United States, Mr. Global wants to use that oil. And they see an opportunity because, Maduro has been painted as a terrible, awful person. He may very well be. There may be no good guys here, right? But I don't think that the people that the globalists are backing are going to be any better. They're going to offer a different form of communism than Maduro was offering, right? And so I think this is CIA backed. I think that we have absolutely no right or reason to go into here and say that the USA's preferred outcome is the preferred outcome that we should actually follow. And we're watching a coup and we should be aware of it. So here's this guy and he says, this is what's happening, yo.
Which I will link to in the description below, in which I show in great detail how the allegations of supposed electoral fraud originate with a firm in the US in New Jersey that is very closely linked to the US government and even linked to the CIA. This is
Hello everyone, thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to canadapoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful